Gigi's Life Hacks. I'm Gigi. Today I'm going to talk about marriage. And I want to let you know something. Everything that I talk about in any one of my videos is not my opinion. It is my experience. Because you know what you need to have for an opinion? A mouth. That's it. No facts, no research, no information, just a mouth. Everything that I talk about in every one of my videos is from my experience. Now, I've lived a lifetime, and my husband and I have been together for 41 years. And people ask us all the time, what's the secret? And here's the secret. There is no secret. There are many secrets, but I would probably say if someone were to ask me, well, what would be at the top of your list? This would be it. Get over it. Whatever it is that is, maybe you had a stupid argument about something. Maybe, it's a good argument, or that you are trying to get across that you need this done and the other partner's not cooperating. And while we're on the topic, I want to say this. Men, listen to your partner, because I know that you get tired of them, around the house. That familiarity things has really set in. And you have a tendency to just kind of shut your ears whenever they're talking. And don't do that, because you're going to miss out on some good information. You might want to throw it away, and you might want to keep it. Either way, listen to your wives. Open up your mind. And women, stop bitching. You can't stand over your partner and just bitch. I mean, you want to lose the relationship? That's what's going to happen. Now, if you're complaining about something that you want your partner to do, and they're not doing it, here's what I do. I go onto YouTube and I figure out how to do it myself. You wouldn't believe some of the stuff I've got done around my house. And I've learned, you can learn anything on YouTube, but I have to sneak when I get it done as I'm doing it, because my husband will get mad and say, you can't do that, you can't do that. And I'll look up at him and say, those of you who are saying it can't be done are bothering those of us who are doing it. Yeah, there's a fight right there. So anyway, if you're complaining about something to be done, hey, shut up and do it yourself. Figure it out, unless it's something really heavy, then you're screwed. So, back to getting over it. And I'm talking by the end of the day, within 2 hours. I'm not talking about next month. You want to be miserable? Carry that grudge. But I'm going to tell you, the longer you carry that grudge, the heavier it's going to get. So you have to get over it. Men, women, you have to just put it behind you and get over it immediately. You carry it with you, you're going to make you unhappy. Now, in a relationship, I think that there are 3 exceptions to staying together, and yes, I've had experience in all 3 of these. The first one is infidelity. You find out that your partner has been seeing someone on the side, because you either caught them, or they confessed it to you, or someone told you. You find out that your partner has been unfaithful to you, and that's a killer. That's a killer. And so you have to decide, is this something that I can move on from? And the answers come from, where does your partner stand on it? Are they emotionally involved with this person? Is it just fling? How far has this relationship gone? And after you determine that, then you can decide what you're going to do. Now, as your partner starts soaking all this in, they're going to start asking questions like when and where. Don't answer those questions, because your partner has got enough to think about, and they make up, in their own mind without having to tell them that information. And whoever's asking that information, don't. Because it's just going to get in your head and stay there, and it's going to fog up your mind and make you feel not happy. So don't ask questions like that. All you need to know is that they've been unfaithful to you. The when and wheres are too dangerous to tell your partner, and tell them, sweetie, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to give you that information. It's just going to give you more to think about, and I'm not going to go into the details about it. So, don't ask those questions, and certainly don't answer those questions. If you decide that it's not going to work out and you're going to go ahead and go through a divorce. All right, now listen to this. Going through a divorce is the hardest thing you will ever go through. It is worse than a death, because the person is still alive and you still love them. Once you fall in love, sincere love with somebody, that's it. You cannot unlove them. That's the way God fixed it. Once you fall in love, you will love that person forever. And going through a divorce, it is the worst experience you will ever go through. Mostly because you're going to see a side of your partner that you didn't know was there. And it's extremely painful. And it lasts, a year or more, that this pain that you're going to have to go through as a result of a divorce, not to mention how much it costs to do this. Just like you injure a leg, you break your leg, you break your arm, you have to rest it. Then that arm or leg heals and you start to feel better. It's the same thing when you have an emotional injury, like going through a divorce or somebody dying. And when you have that injury to your soul, you have to rest. And that's a lot of times all you feel like doing is just sleeping. Do it. Go ahead and rest and heal your soul. All the other stuff that you need to do in your life, most of it can wait and you can do it later. But you have to heal your soul. And the same way you have to heal a broken leg or a broken arm, rest. And after that rest, you're going to be surprised about how much you're going to feel better. If you decide, we're going to work through this because they haven't given you all the detailed information that you're going to, dwell about, and you decide to stay together and see if you can work things out, then it goes back to that. Get over it, because you can't keep bringing it up. If you decide you're going to stay together, the one who has been faithful, not the one who has been unfaithful, but the one who has been faithful is going to go through a lot of pain. And if you decide that you're going to get over it, you're not going to mention it again, don't mention it again. And you have to get over it. That part of your life is done, and that's in the past, and that's where you have to leave it. And that's so hard. But if you have those thoughts in your head all the time, you're not going to be happy day after day after day. And I understand the pain that you go through. And if you decide to stay together, you have to embrace each other a lot and build that trust back up again. But don't tell them the details, because that will take even longer to heal. But you can work through it. You can work through it. Okay, so the second one is emotional abuse. Emotional abuse is caused by one or more people to deliberately hurt you. They don't stop until they know exactly which buttons to push, and they won't quit because it is a method of control. Begging them to stop makes them just feel better. They'll scream in your face, follow you from room to room, and no matter how much you say, leave me alone, they won't leave you alone. And they, right in your face are on you all the time, bitching about something. That's emotional abuse. And that's something that, you're going to go to bed and you're not going to want to get out of bed while they're living with you. And, they might come in there and start yelling at you. Why are you in bed all the time? That's another thing that you have to think about, whether you can get over it or not. And the only way you're going to get over something like that is you got to go to some marriage counseling or some sort of psychologist, so that you can talk about your problem. And the person who is doing the emotional abuse maybe they'll find out why they're doing it, and they'll work harder on not doing it, because they know the consequences if they don't stop doing that. So that's another reason that you may want to consider leaving each other, because there's only so much of that you can stand, and that's just as bad as physical abuse, and people don't understand that because you can't see the broken arm, you can't see the bruises on the face, because it's all inside, and all you do is cry. And, that's some tough stuff. And you have to think about, if you're going to leave or you're going to have them leave. And, you're not going to live together anymore because you can't take that. So that's the second one. Infidelity. Second one is emotional abuse. And the third one is obviously physical abuse. Now, physical abuse is the worst. I was married before, and that's what I went through. And it was scary. And you walk on eggshells, and you don't know what you're going to say is going to set them off. And, more than likely they drink, because something about drinking, they say it's spirits, and it is spirit. It's like another evil spirit entering their body, and they want to fight, and they start using you like a punching bag. And, I don't care which partner does it, the man, the woman, it doesn't matter which one are doing it. Keep your hands to yourself. Oh man, sometimes you just want to slap them. If it's a woman doing it to a man, it's just as bad, because you can leave a bruise on a man too. So in a physical abuse situation, get away. Call law enforcement. You may get it after law enforcement leaves, but continue to call law enforcement and have them taken away, and have them taken away. One time when I called law enforcement, my ex-husband was yelling at the cop, and he actually, because he was drinking and he got real mad, he actually shoved the cop while he was on the floor in about a half a second, and he spent the night in jail that time too. Well, it got to the point where I said, you can live here if you want, but I'm going to divorce you, because I couldn't get him to leave. And so I could, live here if you want. I'm going to divorce you while you're living here. And that's what I did. It was probably the hardest thing I ever did, to raise my two kids by myself. They were 4 and 2. And I worked at a grocery store, and that period of my life when I raised those 2 kids alone was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Now, if you're in a relationship where you are suffering from physical abuse, emotional abuse, or a fidelity issue, and it's just making you so miserable, or you hang around with friends who, or family members, that's a great one, and they are not nice to you, and you come home, and for the next 2 or 3 weeks, that's all you're thinking about, and you're sad because of the experience that you had with friends or with family. Let me tell you something, and write this down. Go get a piece of paper and a pen, because you need to write this down. Okay, here it is. Avoid where you're tolerated, and go where you're celebrated. Because when you go where you're celebrated, you come home from that event, and you're happy, and you think happy thoughts. And so when you are better, you do better. And I don't care if it's family. I had to do that. And I began going where I was celebrated, and I became very happy. It's amazing how happy you can get. So pause the video and write that down, because you need to live by that. Okay, so you know why you don't talk about people behind their backs, family members or friends? Because when you get around that person again, they can tell that you've been talking about them. Hell, we could figure it out in elementary school when, we would go out on the playground, just speaking from experience, and I would go out on the playground, and here were a group of my friends standing around, and I'd go up to them and start talking to them. Well, you can tell if they've been talking about you. And so that's why you don't talk about people behind their back. If you're never want to be around them anymore, but you're going to hurt that person, because they're going to know that you've been talking about them behind their back. And the same thing goes for a marriage or a relationship where 2 people are living together. They will be able to tell if you talked about them behind their back, and you don't want that to happen. So I hope you enjoyed this a little bit of a life hack on relationships, you know, whether it's marriage or you're living together. Because, like I said, everything that I just said is not my opinion. It is my experience that I'm bringing here. Now, if there's anything heavy on your heart right now, leave it in the comments, okay? Because if I've had experience in that area, and I probably have, you to see the colorful life I've had, then I'll talk about it and I'll give you my experience on it. Because you know what? I always like food for thought because it puts extra ideas in my head that I can chew over, that a thought that I didn't think about. So, and if you know someone who you think could use this information, share it with them because, you know, they will have some more food for thought. You know what I mean? And lastly, I want to say that my husband and I are on Social Security retirement, and it pays a pittance. So, you know, I'm asking, please, could you hit subscribe? Because it would really help us out a lot. Okay? And I'll see you on my next video.